Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We are now entering the 18th and the last chapter of Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, as we have done in earlier chapters, we will have a kind of a summary as to what is done in the earlier 17 chapters. One word or one sentence summary. Bhagavad Gita is addressed for two purposes. One purpose is to discover whether you are qualified for something higher in life or not. If you are not, how to become qualified? And second thing, what is that which is leading to the disqualification and how to remove those disqualifications? With these two things in mind, Bhagavad Gita is addressed. So the first chapter tells us that we can withdraw from the world under two conditions. One is under wisdom and other is under delusion. So should we live our life dynamically, cheerfully, happily, or should we withdraw from our life in a miserable manner as a dropout or a defeated personality? Now these two options are there. Naturally, the first option will be opted. And therefore, we have to find out what is the reason that suddenly in our life a kind of depression, dejection drops in. Where from it comes? And this happens in the life of everyone. Just while going for breakfast, I received one phone call. Swamiji, I have been, my everyday begins by reading your books. And sometime I go all right. Sometime I am just unable, helpless. I feel so bad. I don't know what I should do. And then I feel I am good for nothing kind. So I talked to that Amma. I said, Amma, look here. Prakriti is that where Vikruti is natural. So sometime your mood is good, your mind is predominantly sattvic. That time you will be able to understand in one go. Sometime your mind is agitated, disturbed because of something or the other. That time your understanding will not be there even if you struggle. And sometimes you are so much under the influence of the tamoguna, the dull-wittedness, that you won't have even forget about inspiration, even the half-hearted participation in whatever you do. You feel like giving up, resigning from everything. And the best part is, you know all the three things. That now you are bright, now you are agitated, now you are dull-witted. So who are you? You are someone other than the three. Now what is your struggle? Your struggle is all the time the mood should be perfect. See? Your struggle is like this. There should be only happiness in this world. See? There should be only success in this world. This has never happened. Therefore, if it is Prakriti, your mind, it will be sometime bright, sometime disturbed, sometime low in spirit. So don't struggle. When the mind is bright and brilliant, finish your study. When the mind is agitated, don't go to study. Do some physical work. Take out the walls, wash them and fix them back. And sometimes if the mind is too dull-witted, go to sleep. Doesn't matter what time it is. Ultimately, that you come back to the brightness. That is more important. And while doing all these things, always remember that you are someone other than the three gunas. This is the only way. But when we are not able to appreciate, understand, practice this thing in life, like was the case of Arjuna in the first chapter of Gita. He came to the battlefield with not a cool and quiet mind. He came to the battlefield with agitated, disturbed, vengeant mind. And whenever you do anything in your life with vengeance, agitation and kind of revengeful attitude, you are bound to suffer the next stroke, and that is called as the stroke of delusion. Therefore, it is necessary that we function in our life not under delusion nor under agitation. And when we are under the delusion, what are the symptoms? Symptoms are identity crisis. What we are at a given period of time. This is the crisis. And when this crisis is conquered, there is no problem in life. I remember, in Bombay or somewhere, one of my doctor friend, he was telling me, Swamiji, this, population of this, our country is going so bad. Why don't you tell something through your lectures? I said, before you ask me, you tell me, am I increasing the population? No. So you have no right to ask me. Second thing, find out who is increasing the population. You are a doctor, you are a gynecologist. Now take out the data. Who are the one who are producing more? Is it the rich people? No. Is the middle class people belonging to Hindu community? No. I said, why don't you tell those who have 4, 5, 6 wives and produce a lot? Then he told me one logic. He said, Swamiji, I tried this. One young girl married to an old man. She came. And she was hardly about 20 or 19 and carrying. So I asked her, hey, you are so small. Why do you breed so early in your life? Now that girl's argument. She said, look here, doctor, do you think that I don't understand? I understand. And we should not breed too much. I understand. But the thing is, when that man comes, he wants nothing but sex. And for that purpose only he married me. There is no other purpose. And if I do not cooperate with him, he goes to next one because there are next waiting for him. And as a result, I become only the maid servant in the house. So I have got only one option. Either be his mistress, wife, and rule the whole house by breeding for him, or become a maid servant and be a rejected one for the whole life. And out of these two, the first I opted. Now see the clarity. So whenever we have clarity in our mind, there will be no confusion in life. Otherwise, whenever there is a lack of clarity, confusion is bound to be, and such a confused persons are always miserable in life. And this is what is demonstrated in the life of Arjuna in the first chapter. He was confused about his identity. who is he on the battlefield? Whether a grandson to the grandfather, a disciple to the teacher, or a soldier fighting with the enemies. When this identity was confused, he was totally shattered. And therefore, what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita? To help us regain our correct identity. And once you get your correct identity, you are the master of the ceremony. Or else you are a broken personality. Now, when we are in this situation of Arjun, what we do? We become like the lawyers. You know who is a lawyer? A lawyer is the one who first decides in favor of his own client. Very simple. Suppose I have murdered somebody. Suppose, I have murdered somebody. Then I will hire a lawyer. Lawyer, okay. I will hire. Now after I engage a lawyer, what I expect from my lawyer? Should he say in the court, yes, my client came to me and told me everything and he should be hanged? No. I will tell my lawyer very clearly, I have done this. Now you protect me. So what the lawyer will say? First, my client is innocent. First, he has already decided. On the basis of this decision, then he starts thinking, developing his argument. In the same manner, Arjun, under the influence of delusion, has decided, I am not going to fight the war. And thereafter he started thinking. Now what will be his thinking? To justify his decision or to defy his decision? This is what most of the people do in life. The right way is first think, then take a decision. Normally what we do, first decide and then start thinking. And thereafter, such people become argumentative, logical, and they lose the sight of their life and the goal. And therefore, we are all miserable in this world. Therefore, the first thing for what Bhagavad Gita is told is this. Discover your identity. After your identity is discovered, your purpose of life will be clear, and the purpose of your life, it is clear, you will only want to know what is the way to reach the goal. But when this is confused, our life becomes a mess. Without this, there is no way out. Now, a confused person is the one who never accepts he is confused. That is the beauty. Do you know the highest delusion? The highest delusion is the delusion of wisdom. Like I told you yesterday, one lady came to meet me. And she was so frustrated that in this world there is nobody who can understand the realization that she has. And therefore she has come to distribute her realization to whomsoever she can catch. See? And therefore, this Arjun, under the influence of the delusion, pleading his case, he starts arguing. And in that arguments, when they are answered by the Lord, what is the basis on which the second chapter is established? The Lord tells, straight away from the common sense point of view. The more the common sense we have, the more spiritual we are. Lesser the common sense we have, the most miserable we are. Now what is the common sense? Common sense is that in this world, every experience comes, stays and goes. It's not a permanent affair. To become permanently miserable because of a temporary experience is not the way of the wise. Then what is to be done? Titikshasva, have patience. See, the curse of the modern prosperous life is lack of patience. And because of this lack of patience, we make hasty decisions. We make a mess of our life. So, after having told this, have patience, and then the teacher says further, that when you are ready to listen, then I can talk to you. If you are only argumentating, what is there to talk? Okay, now you tell me. Not like that, with all patience. And then the teacher talks to him from the absolute standpoint. So, Bhagavad Gita begins with this approach. There are two standpoints with which we have to live our life. One standpoint is the absolute standpoint. What is absolute standpoint? How the Lord looks at His creation. That is the absolute standpoint. And second standpoint is the relative standpoint. What is the relative standpoint? Relative standpoint is how one looks at the other, effect looking at the effect, waves looking at the waves, and the second relative standpoint is how the wave looks at its cause, the ocean. So there are two standpoints which are presented in the second chapter of Gita. The absolute standpoint is न जायते म्रियते वा विपश्चित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूया अजो नित्य शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे वेदा विनाशिनं नित्यं य एनम् अजमव्ययम् कथं च पुरुष पार्थ कम घातयति हन्तिकम्. This is the absolute standpoint. What is the relative standpoint? कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्म फल हेतुर्भु मा ते संगोस्त्व कर्मणि. Are you able to come to the absolute standpoint in your life? If yes, you have no questions, you have no problems. You are the support to everything and everybody in this world. You are a source of inspiration for everything and everybody. Are you that? I don't think. Then karmanneva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Then follow the path of karma, not path of karma, karma yoga. Because we are in this relative realm only on the foundation of karma. So if karma is the cause of our bondage, karma alone will help us get out of bondage. Only by discarding karma, nothing will happen. Na karmana manarambhat naishkarmyam purushoshnate. Thus, having given these two options, one is the absolute vision, second is the relative standpoint. And as long as we are living our life from the relative standpoint, we have to live dynamically, happily, fulfilling our duties towards everything which has supported our existence, and thereby purifying our mind. So what is the process of purification? First, don't drop your karma. Then what is to be done? Yajñārthāt karmaṇoñyatra lokoyam karma bandhanahat tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangas samāchara. So the way is, if you are living for selfishness, you will be bound. If you start living for the sake of the Lord, you will be freed. And therefore, what is to be understood? What is the technique? Again in the third chapter, Bhagavan says, Mai sanyasya karmani sanyasya adhyatma cetasa mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma cetasa nirashi nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvaraha. So live in the present, finish your job sincerely, dynamically, remember me and enjoy every moment of your life as celebration of life. This is the karma yoga. And when you will practice this, then What is the foundation that you have to reach? In the 4th chapter, Bhagavan tells then, Karmani akarmayaha pashet akarmani cha karmayaha sabuddhiman manusheshu sa krishna karmakrut sa yuktaha sa krishna karmakrut. He who is able to discover the divinity in every manifestation of his action, and he who is able to discover the obsession of non-doership in his laziness, he alone has understood the secret of karma. Sabuddhiman manusheshu. He alone is really man of wisdom. And for him everything is done. And for that the practice is given in the 5th chapter, Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manneta tattvavid. And when this practice is done, the result will be one comes to a point where now the mind becomes equanimous. Because 2nd chapter told us samatvam yoga uchyate. And what is that now equanimity of the mind? Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavyastini shuni jaiva shvapakecha panditaha samadarshinaha. So unless the mind is pure, we will not be able to appreciate the equanimity, oneness in everything. And to strengthen this particular knowledge, in the 6th chapter there is a process of assimilation through the Atma Sayyama Yoga. So there we should not have this wrong notion, Tyaga and the Sannyasa. Anashritaha karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnihi na cha akriyaha. On the basis of these 2 words, 18th chapter begins. In the 6th chapter, Bhagavan has very clearly brought out. When Bhagavan says, Anashritaha karma phalam karyam karma karoti ha sa sannyasi. And so yogi means tyagi. So here, who is the sannyasi, who is the yogi? This was explained in the 6th chapter. Same thought is again revoked by Arjun when he asked in the beginning of the 18th chapter, Oh Lord, I want to know the essence of these 2 words, sannyasa and the tyaga. Because these 2 words demand very clear understanding. So after having taken up this topic, there Bhagavan has brought out sannyasa and the tyaga means you fix yourself with the right identity, sannyasa. And all that you are not, reject it. This is the tyaga. In short, tyaga and sannyasa are one and the same. They are not different. When you are understood your correct identity, naturally you have dropped everything else. So, after having said this in the first 6 chapters, then in 7th to 12th chapter, Bhagavan talks about the approach from the relative standpoint where this individual in the first 6 chapter is trying to discover some support. And that support is the path of devotion. So first was waves with the waves, first 6 chapter. Second 6th chapter, waves with the ocean. Now the waves are trying to see the ocean, and therefore the path of devotion is inaugurated. In this path of devotion, we are told that in the 7th chapter, Mattaha paradaram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvavidam protam sutre maniganaiva. Hey Arjun, other than me, there is nothing in this world. I alone is the reality. Everything is in me, but I am not in them. Same thought continues in the 8, 9, 10, 11 and the 12th chapter. When this becomes a clear experience for the seeker, then this knowledge which is imbibed and matured in the form of love, such a jnani purusha, such a devotee with absolute wisdom, jnani tu atmaiva me matam. See, Bhagavan said in the 9th chapter, 7th chapter, that the jnani bhakta, my devotee, and me are not two. Now when such a jnani bhakta, the devotee with wisdom, how his life is Adveshta Sarva Bhutana Maitra Karuna Evacha. 33 points are given. And thereafter from the 13th chapter onward, the truth is indicated from the absolute standpoint now. See? So in the first 6th chapter, it was the relative standpoint. Second 6th chapter, the individual with reference to the Ishvara, the created, the God. The effect, trying to surrender to the cause. Now, from the 13th chapter onward, there is nothing like cause and effect. There is but one reality. Therefore, kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. Now, to come to this absolute standpoint, what is required is give up that conditioning which is creating relativity. What is the conditioning which is creating relativity? Trigunatmika prakriti. And therefore, 14th chapter tells us what is the Trigunatmika prakriti and how we get out of it. Therefore, again in the 14th chapter, Trigunatita Purusha, the one who has gone beyond the limitations of the three gunas and come to discover the absolute standpoint, was discussed. And in the 15th chapter, what was said up to the 14th chapter was as if summarized, where 4 points were brought out very clearly. What is the Jagat, what is the Jiva, what is the Ishvara, and what is the absolute Purushottama Tattva. And for that, what is the spiritual practice? Nirmana Moha Jita Sangha Dosha. And what is the Abhyas? Yadaditya Gatam Tejaha Jagat Bhasayate Khilam. From there up to Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishtaha Mattas Vrati Jnanam Apohanancha. So all these things was packed up in the 15th chapter. Then the 16th chapter tells us that many of us are unknowingly or knowingly under the devilish impulse or the divine. As long as we are leading the life of excruciatingly selfish existence, till then there is no choice, we will have to suffer in this world. And why we do that? Only because of the desire, anger and the greed. Therefore, whenever we are functioning under desire, anger and greed, we are binding us into the relativity for all the time. Therefore, Trividham Narakasedam Dwaram Nashanam Atmanaha Kam Krodhas Tatha Lovaha Tasmad Etat Trayam Tajet. Then in the 17th chapter we have seen that there are many people who do not know all these things, but they have good faith in themselves, in what the elders do. And they follow the beaten path without any details about the scriptural injunctions. What happens to them? So there the teacher says, if they have tremendous faith, what they should do in their life is only one. And that is, do whatever you have to do. What are the things we are supposed to do? Yajna, Dana, Tapa. 3 things. These 3 things are the foundation of human existence. These 3 things are to be practiced. And these 3 things are to be practiced, then you will require a lot of scriptural knowledge. So the teacher says, don't worry about that. If you don't have, never mind. If you have got full faith, remember the Lord. So remember the Lord and do yajna. Remembering the Lord, do dhanam. Remembering the Lord, do tapasya. That will lead you ultimately to the absolute. Because what is important is the Shraddha. Thus, up to the 17th chapter, all aspects of spiritual life are taken care of. Now, in the 18th chapter, Bhagavan summarizes in his own way what was said so far. With this, we begin the 18th chapter now. Bhagavan Shankara says, Sarvasya eva Gita Shastrasya Arthaha Asmin Adhyaye Upasamhritya Sarvaha cha Vedartho Vaktavyaha iti evam Arthaha Ayam Adhyayaha Arabhyate. Now, Ayam Adhyayaha Arabhyate, this 18th chapter begins. When Sarvasya eva Gita Shastrasya Arthaha Asmin Adhyaye Upasamhritya, all what is said so far in the whole Bhagavad Gita, to summarize and conclude, this 18th chapter begins. And cha Vedarthaha Vaktavyaha. And also, what is the essence of the Vedic knowledge? What is the message of the Upanishadic doctrine? That also has to be told. So for these two purposes, the 18th chapter begins. So what is the purpose of the 18th chapter? One is summarizing what is said so far in Bhagavad Gita, and second, to present in clear terms what is the message of our Vedas or the Upanishad. For this purpose, this 18th chapter begins. Now, sarveshu hi atiteshu adhyayeshu uktaha arthaha asmin adhyaye avagamyate. Now, what was said in all earlier chapters? The same thing, uktaha arthaha, what was already said, the same thing, asmin adhyaye avagamyate, will be found in this chapter. So, if you study this 18th chapter very clearly, after the study of first 17th chapter, your knowledge will become firm. Don't have this kind of feeling, oh, if this chapter is everything, why study 17th chapter? Then you will not understand. So unless you study the first 17th chapter, then you will appreciate the depth and the beauty of this 18th chapter. Therefore, don't take a shortcut. Like, in Vishnu Sahasranam, after all the 1,000 names are given, then Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanare. Therefore, if you take only one name of the Ram, everything is enough. It is better than 1,000 names. But this is said after the 1,000 names are said. Don't forget, this is not the first verse. In the same manner, this is also the 18th chapter. You cannot read it first. Therefore, sarveshu hi atiteshu adhyayeshu uktartaha asmin adhyaye avagamyate. Arjunaha tu sannyasa tyaga shabdarthayoho eva vishesham bubutsuhu uvacha. Now, Arjuna was interested in knowing the clear meaning of these two words. Which were the two words which were used a lot of time in the whole Bhagavad Gita? One word was sannyasa, other word was tyaga. Exactly what is the meaning of these two words when it is applied? Because whenever any word is abundantly used, it gets corrupted. Because this is the tragedy with the words. Words never retain their meaning with the passage of time. See, there was a time putting on the what you call khadi was considered as a sign of patriotism. Now, putting on the khadi is considered as a sign of higher level of corruption. See, the khadi is the same. With the passage of time, that khadi has gathered some dirty smell. And therefore, whenever you see that kind of person, immediately our ear starts moving. Similarly, in the earlier days, when somebody used to be a politician, a Desha Bhakta, we used to have a different picture about a politician. When we look back before independence. But after independence, now as you start going, the moment the word politician is used, what comes in front of us is only the criminals who are worse than the terrorists. This is how the word politicians has gathered a different meaning with the passage of time. Similarly, these two words, sannyasa and the tyaga, these words were used so much. So when what this word means, I am unable to understand. Therefore, O Lord, kindly tell me what is the correct meaning of this word sannyasa and the tyaga. Now before Bhagavan takes up, let us understand one or two basic principles. Never a statement should be interpreted and understood without proper reference to context. There is no word which can be used without proper reference to context, without creating confusion. This is the rule. Now, for example, a common example, use the word mouse. Now the word mouse when you use, what for it is used? Then I get SMS. I don't know if I told you the other day, I got an SMS. Why Shiva and Parvati were never able to learn computer? Because Ganeshji took away the mouse. Now see, here this mouse word is played pun with. So what is the meaning of the word mouse? Can be understood only with proper reference to context. In the same manner, whenever we want to use the word sannyasa and tyaga, and for that purpose any word must be understood with reference to context. Now for example, you take word Bhagavad Gita. Now Bhagavad Gita can be interpreted in 2-3 ways. One is Bhagavata Gita, that which was sung by the Lord. See, Bhagavat, then Bhagavata, Tritiya Vibhakti. The one which was sung by the Lord is Bhagavad Gita. So, here Gita becomes a noun, and by the Bhagavan, not noun, the verb, and sung by the Lord. Now when we say Bhagavad Gita, it is the song of the Lord. So the word song now has become a noun, not a verb. So Gita can be read as a verb sung by the Lord, or Gita can also be understood as the song of the Lord. Therefore, every word that we use must have a proper reference to context for our understanding. On the basis of this alone, all our judiciary gives judgment and they never do justice. Remember I told you, I was addressing our all the judges of High Court in Bombay, and I started with my talk with this particular statement. I said, I have a friend, Justice Agrawal, and I was telling him, I said, hey, how come your name is Justice Agrawal? Because you only pass on judgment, you never do justice. Judgment is only evaluation. Justice is going beyond evaluation and helping somebody. So also, when we use the word, reference and context must be used. Now this is what you will see in this discussion. So, evam vishesham bubutsuhu uvacha, Arjuna asked. Arjuna uvacha sannyasasya mahabaho tattvamichhami veditum tyagasya cha rishikesha पृथक् केशी निषूदना. Arjuna Vacha, Arjun inquires. See, whenever the question is asked, there are many attitudes behind the question. Whether the question is asked as Jidnyasa, desire to know and inquire, or the question is asked with a view to examine, or a question is asked with a view to object. How come government can do this thing? So, here Arjuna's question had the first shade. He really wanted to know, and such questions alone are replied. Therefore, Arjuna's question, being the question with inquiring spirit, is honored by the Lord. So what was this question? Arjuna vacha sannyasasya sannyasa shabdarthasya iti etad he mahabaho tattvam. Tattvam means what? Tasya bhavaha tattvam yathatmyam. Yathatmyam means the correct meaning of the word sannyasa. So, O Lord, He Mahabaho, I want to know the correct import of the word sannyasa when it is used. Now, sannyasasya mahabaho tattvam veditum ichchami. Then etad ichchami veditum jnatum, and also tyagasya cha, tyaga shabdarthasya cha iti etad. Rishikesha pruthak itaretara vibhagataha he keshi nishudana. So, O Lord, I want to have a correct understanding of these two words which are frequently used in our satsang by many Mahatmas, and we call also some people sannyasi or the tyagi. You know, if you go to Haryana, in Haryana one of the title is Mr. Tyagi. So the tyagi, does it mean he is really tyagi? No, he is convicted for assimilating wealth beyond the known sources of income. But name is tyagi. Therefore, what is the correct meaning of these two words, sannyasi and the tyagi? He keshi nishudana. Keshi nama hayat chadma asuraha tam nishuditavan Bhagavan Vasudevaha tena tannamna sambuddhyate arjunena. Keshi nishudana, there was a asura who took the form of a horse and wanted to kill. So he was killed by Bhagavan Vasudeva, and therefore Bhagavan Vasudeva was known as Keshi Nishudana. So in this there are three names by which Bhagavan was addressed. One is Mahabaho, the most powerful one. Rishikesha, the complete controller of all the faculties. And Keshi Nishudana, and the destroyer of the Asura, the Keshi. In this manner, O Lord, kindly tell me the clear import of these two words, sannyasa and the tyaga. Tatra tatra nirdishtau sannyasa tyaga shabdau na nilunthitarthau purveshu adhyayeshu ataha arjunaya pruštavate tannirnayaya Sri Bhagavan Uvach. In the earlier chapters, sannyasa and tyaga shabda, see the dual case, nirdishtau sannyasa tyaga shabdau. So these two words, sannyasa and the tyaga, they were referred tatra tatra in many places, but nilunthita arthau, but the words were probably not clearly brought out in defining. Purveshu adhyayeshu, in the earlier chapters. Ataha arjunaya pruštavate, therefore the Arjun who has asked to him tannirnayaya Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, to make it clear to his understanding what is the meaning of the word sannyasa and what is the meaning of the word tyaga, so that Arjuna is not left with any ambiguity in understanding. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Sri Bhagavan tells. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamyanam karmanam nyasam Sannyasam kavayo viduhu Sarva karma phalatyagam Prahustyagam vichakshanaha. Now Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, these are the eternal declarations of the Lord. Therefore, they are ever valid. They are not erased with the passage of time. They cannot be improved upon, and therefore there is nothing like the new version of Bhagavad Gita improved upon. No, these are the ultimate words. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, what he said. Now before we go into this, the approach in Bhagavad Gita is extremely scientific. Whenever you discuss something, talk about something, conduct research on something, what is required is what is the available material on this topic. See, which is called as the review of literature. Suppose somebody wants to conduct a research. What is the research you want to conduct? For what you are asking grant from the World Bank? Sir, I want to conduct research for which the World Bank should give me $390 million. But what is the project? The project is harvesting the mirage waters for the human consumption. Now this is the project we want to take. So it is not like Government of India, they will sanction it. They have done it earlier. I was in UP or Bihar somewhere, probably UP or Bihar probably. And one of the officers told me this. He said, you know, Swamiji, in our Bihar what happens? They have collected the grants for digging the wells for solving the water problem. And they have sanctioned. And the number of wells were dug so much that the area used for digging the well was more than the area of the state. Suppose the state area is 100 square meters or 100 square miles. The number of wells occupying the space was more than 100 square miles. Then another project was submitted. With this, there is no place for anything else to do, so we need to close the wells. And the other project was sanctioned. And thereafter, they got other grants for that and eaten away money. So the first project was on the paper without digging a single hole. They got all the money realized. And another thing, those undug wells were closed, and for that another money was got. This is how Mera Bharat Mahan. So here, before we conduct any inquiry, the earlier literature is sorted out. Earlier literature is quoted, and this is what Bhagavan says: Kamyanam Ashwamedhadinam karmananyasam parityagam sannyasam sannyasa shabdartham anushtheyatvena praptasya ananushtanam kavayaha panditaha kechid viduhu vijananti. Now the first reference is quoted. Kavayaha viduhu. What they vidu, what they know, the kavis. Kamyanam ashwamedhadinam karmanam nyasam parityagam. All the undertakings which are based on the fulfillment of one's own desires. That means desire prompted activities, kamyanam karmanam, nyasam parityagam, giving up all the desire prompted activities is understood by the word sannyasa. So, kamyanam karmanam nyasam. So, giving up all the desire prompted activities is called as sannyasa. And sannyasa anushtheyatvena praptasya ananushtanam. And therefore, even whatever is supposed to be done, anushtheyatva ne praptasya. So whatever is supposed to be done, even that ananusthana, even that should not be done. Kavayaha kechid viduhu vijananti. And other type of people say that not only the desire prompted activities should be given up, but all the activities should be given up. So about this word sannyasa, which means giving up, tyaga, there are two views. View number one, kamyanam karmanam. The desire prompted activity should be given up is called as sannyasa. The other people say, no, not only desire, all activity should be given up. That is the real meaning of sannyasa. So basic principle is giving up is sannyasa. Tyaga is sannyasa. Now second thing, nitya naimittikanam anushtiyamananam sarvakarmanam atmasambaditaya प्राप्तस्य फलस्य परित्यागः सर्वकर्म फलित्यागः तम प्राहु कथयन्ति त्यागम त्याग शब्दार्थम विचक्षणाः पंडिताः. Now the wise people, some other wise people also, they say nitya naimittikanam anushtiyamananam sarvakarmanam, all the karmas which are supposed to be done by us, which are supposed to be practiced by us, which are nitya karma, the daily obligatory duties, atma sambandhitaya, with reference to one's own benefit, praptasya phalasya paratyagaha. So, all the personal benefits from all these karmas are to be rejected, and this is what is called as the karma phala tyagaha. So, they are not telling give up the karma. They say do your nitya naimittika karma, but whatever results you are going to get because of that karma phala tyagaha is called as the meaning of the word tyaga by some wise people. So we have heard three views. First view is desire prompted activities are to be given up, called as sannyas. Second view, not only desire prompted activities but all the activities are to be given up is called as sannyasa. The third view, no, activity should not be given up, any kind. Then the karma phala resulting from the activity, that has to be given up. So these are the three views about the sannyasa or the tyaga, and both of them mean only giving up. So there is a common meaning for these two words, sannyasa and the tyaga. Sannyasa and tyaga, both of them means giving up or the renunciation or the tyaga alone. They are not different words. Now, यदि काम्य कर्म परित्यागः फल परित्यागो वा अर्थो वक्तव्यः सर्वथा अपि त्यागमात्रं संन्यास त्याग शब्दयोः एक अर्थो न घटपट शब्दो इव जात्यंतर भूतार्थौ. This is what just now I told you. If kamya karma parityagaha, renunciation or giving up of the desire prompted activities, va or phala parityagaha, or giving up the results of the karma, in both the cases artho vaktavyaha sarvatha api tyaga matram. Therefore the basis of sannyas and the tyaga is tyaga matram. Sannyasa tyaga shabdayoho eko arthaha. Therefore, the word meaning of the word tyaga and sannyasa is but one, and it is not separate. Ghatapata shabdo iva jatyantara bhutarthau. It is unlike the two. One is a ghata, second is a pata. So the pot and the cloth, and these two words indicate totally different things. In the same manner, sannyasa and the tyaga, they do not talk about two different principles. But sannyasa and the tyaga, both of them are indicating one and the same principle, and that one and the same principle is giving up. Now here a question is raised. Nanu nitya naimittikanam karmanam phalam eva nasti iti ahuhu katham uchyate tesham phalatyaga iti yatha vandhyayaha putratyagaha. Now here this question is raised. Nitya naimittikanam karmanam phalam eva nasti. There is a school of thought in the Purva Mimamsa where they say, when you do the nitya karma, there is no karma phala. When you do the naimittika karma, there is no karma phala. Therefore, nitya naimittikanam karmanam phalam eva nasti iti ahu kechit. Some people say like this thing. Therefore, how do you say that karma phala tyagaha? When there is no karma phala, what you can reject? It is something like yatha vandhyayaha putra tyagaha. Like a sterile woman says, I have given up my son. When you had a son to give up? In this manner, this statement is meaningless. Now the teacher replies, Na esha doshaha, this is not wrong. Why? Nityanam api karmanam bhagavata phalavatvasya ishtatvat. Bhagavan Sri Krishna very clearly accepts that even for the nitya karma also there is a karma phala, there is a result. How? Vakshati hi Bhagavan. Bhagavan will tell in this chapter only, Anishtam Ishtam Mishram cha Trividaha Karmana Phalam Bhavati Atyagina Pretya Natu Sanyasinam Kvachit. Therefore, Bhagavan doesn't accept this proposition that the Nitya Naimitya Karma doesn't have Karma Phala. It does have. Vakshati hi Bhagavan Anishtam Ishtam iti Natu Sanyasinam iti cha. Sanyasinam hi Kevalam Karma Phala Asambandham Darshayan Asanyasinam Nitya Karma Phala Praptim Bhavati Atyagina Pretya iti Darshayati. And in this verse of the 18th chapter, Bhagavan will show that Sanyasinam hi Kevalam Karma Phala Asambandham. It is only with the sannyasi alone there will be no relationship of the karma phala with the sannyasi. But natu asanyasinam. But those who are not sannyasi, those who are not given up the karma phala, those who are not renounced, those who are not given up the doership, for them bhavati atyaginam. But those who are still living in the relative existence, they will have the karma phala. This is what Bhagavan will show subsequently. Now this was the first review of literature where three reviews were brought out. First Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam, then Sarva Karma Phala Tyagaha, and all the karma, not only Kamya, everything should be given up. This was brought out. Now one more view is brought out in the third verse. Tyajam doshavadityeke Karma prahur manishinaha Yajna dana tapak karma Natyajamiti chapare. Tyajam tyaktavyam doshavat doshasya asti iti doshavat kim tat karma bandha hetutvat sarvam eva. So tyajam doshavadityeke. Eke, some people say that karma should be given up because it is bandha hetutvat. Tyajam tyaktavyam, given up. Doshavat. Doshavat means associated with the dosha, with the shortcomings. And what is that which is associated with the shortcoming? Karma. So kim tat karma. Why? What is the dosha? Bandha hetutvat. Because karma leads to the bondage. Therefore, sarvam eva. Therefore, some people say all the karma should be rejected because every karma will give you some or the other kind of karma phala. This is the fourth view. So, tyajam doshavadityeke karma prahur manishinaha. Now the second thing. Athava dosho yatha ragadi tyajyate tatha tyajyam iti eke prahu manishina panditaha sankhyadi drishtim ashritaha adhikrutanam karminam api iti. Now there is another way of looking at it. They say that just like yatha ragadi tyajyate, like raga, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matcharya, if they are to be given up without thinking about them, in the same manner, all the karmas should be given up, even without giving a second thought. This is the view of some more people. So up to here we have seen 5 different views. Now tatra eva, now there is one more view. Tatra eva yajnadana tapak karma na tyajam iti chapare. But there are still some kind of people, wise people, they say, no, yajnadana tapa should not be given up, na tyajam iti chapare. So in this manner, karminaha eva adhikrutan apeksha ete vikalpaha natu jnana nishthan vitthayinaha sanyasinaha apeksha. Now all these options, vikalpa means options, all these options are with reference to the ignorant people, not for the sannyasi. See? On this there is a big discussion now. Karminaha eva adhikrutan. apeksha ete vikalpaha. Now all these vikalpa regarding the karma, sannyasa, karma, tyaga, it is only with reference to those who are adhikari, those who are qualified for karma. Who is qualified for karma? He who considers himself to be a limited being, he who has a lot of expectation from the world, he who has the load of desire in his mind, he who feels life is incomplete or unfulfilled. All such people are adhikari, qualified to do the karma. And therefore, karminaha eva adhikritan apeksha ete vikalpa. So this is with reference to the ignorant people alone. Natu jnana nishthan, and not for those who are abiding in the truth, who are abiding in the knowledge. Natu jnana nishthan vitthayinaha sannyasinaha apeksha. Therefore, those jnana-nishta purushas, vitthayinaha, those who are withdrawn from the worldly enjoyment, entanglement, those who have got sufficient dispassion, this is not addressed to them. This is only addressed to them, those who have got something to be done, achieved in this world. Such people alone are addressed through these lines. Because jnana yogena sankhyana nishtha maya pura prokta. Because we have already told in the earlier chapters that there are two types of nishtha, jnana yoga and karma yoga. So jnana yogena sankhyana nishtha maya pura prokta iti karma adhikarad apodhruta ye na tan prati chinta. And therefore, those who are rejected from the karma topic, about them we are not thinking. We are talking about only those who are included in the field of karma. It is something like this. One day I was going by car with somebody, and that somebody has jumped the red light. Now when the thing happened, the police came and caught. So I just told that policeman, I said, hey, come on, forgive her. She has been driving like this because of I was pressing her. So please don't charge her. It is my fault. The police was very intelligent. He said, Swamiji, I respect you, I salute you, but this is a business between me and the driver. You are not involved anywhere. I said, hey, you are really genius, intelligent. Yes. See, he said, I am not charging you because you are not the driver. Rules are to be observed, traffic rules, by the person who is sitting behind the steering, not the person who is sitting in the car. In the same manner, all these options about the karma sannyas, karma tyaga, they are meant for those who are still hanging around in this world. They want something or the other, and therefore, what we are telling here is not for the jnani. Jnana yogena sankhyanam te karmadhikarat apodhruta ye na tan prati chinta. So it is not meant for them. Now when this is said, immediately the Purva Paksha raises a question. Nanu karma yogena yoginam iti adhikrutaha purvam vibhakta nishtha api iha सर्व शास्त्र उपसंहार प्रकरणे यथा विचार्यन्ते तथा सांख्यापि ज्ञाननिष्ठा विचार्यन्तामिति. Sir, you are, swallowing your words. How come? What you told us? That in the 18th chapter we are going to discuss about the summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Yes. Now, when you say that you have already told about Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam, therefore it is not being included here in the discussion, then Karma Yogena Yoginam was also discussed earlier. Why do you bring that in discussion? And if you are bringing that in discussion, then also bring in discussion the Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam. See the argument. That's why when you understand it in depth, it is such a joy. It is such a wonderful thing. It is never a boredom. It is never a tiresomeness. But when we look at it, my God, again, so much of thing, we need to review over. Then you can never enjoy. So, nanu karma yogena yoginam iti adhikruta purva vibhakta nishtha api ha sarva shastrupa samhara prakarani yatha vicharyante tatha sankhya api nishtha jnana nishtha vicharyantam iti. So, you should include both or don't include anyone. See, look here. It is not like this. Then, na tesham moha dukkha nimitta tyaga anupapattehe. See, there are two types of people, wise and otherwise. When wise people give up something, it is not out of delusion. It is not out of misery. They are not the dropouts of life. Then why they have given up? They have given up the world out of wisdom, out of knowledge. So, both the people, you must have seen, a person who has given up eating sugar of his own. I don't want to eat sugar. He has himself given up, whatever may be the reason. The other person is compelled to give up sugar because of high diabetes. Now what is the surface level understanding? Both of them don't eat sugar. But what is the foundation? One does not eat sugar and enjoys. The other does not eat sugar and suffers. Therefore, when karma sannyas is being spoken of, it is not for the wise. It is always for the ignorant. Therefore, tesham moha dukkha ityadi nimitta tyaga anupapattehe. For the wise, the Sankhya, the sannyasi, for them, the renunciation of the karma is, or the karma phala, is not out of moha or the dukkha. Because न काय क्लेश निमित्तानि दुखानि सांख्या आत्मनि पश्यन्ति इच्छादीनां क्षेत्र धर्मत्वेन एव दर्शितत्वात्. Those who are Sankhya, the wise people, about them what is said? Kaya klesha nimittani dukkhani. All those karma or those things which are because of which there is going to be trouble for the body, there is going to be a problem for the body. So, Dukkhani sankhya atmani na pashyanti. They don't see them in themselves. So they know that ichcha, desha, sukham, dukkham, sangatas, chetana, dhruti, these are the attributes of the kshetra, prakriti, not me. And therefore, their renunciation is never born out of kaya klesha bhayat tyajet. It is not because of the kaya klesha nimittani dukkhani sankhyanam. Ataha tena kaya klesha dukkha bhayat karma parityajanti. Therefore, their tyaga cannot be even compared with the ignorant people. Now, na apite karmani atmani pashyanti yena niyatam karma mohat parityajeyuhu. Not only that, these wise people, they do not accept that karma ever belongs to them, the pure self. See, we have seen yasya nahankrato bhavaha buddhir yasya na lipyate hatva api sa iman lokan nahanti na nibadhyate. He who doesn't have the sense of doership, no karma is born. Therefore, te api karmani atmani na pashyanti yena niyatam karma mohat parityajeyuhu. Because they don't take the doership, therefore their niyat karma, they do not reject out of delusion. Because they have never accepted that they are the doer. Then what is their understanding? Their understanding is gunanam karma na eva kinchit karomi iti hi te sanyasyanti. So they are very clear about it. Here, na kinchit karoti, it should be karomi. You can make it, then it becomes easier to understand. So, gunanam karma na eva kinchit karomi iti hi te sanyasyanti. So, they very clearly understand that all the karmas belong to the guna. Guna guneshu vartante iti matvana sajjate. Indriyani indriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayan. Prakriti guna karmani, all the guna karmani are because of the prakriti, because of the prakriti. So, sarva karmani manasa sanyasya ityadivihi tattvavidaha sannyasa prakara uktaha. Therefore, for the wise man, the sannyasa was already indicated. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukham vashi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. Therefore, they have given up all the karma because their identity is clearly with this akarta, abhokta, avikari, nirvikalpa, absolute reality. Therefore, their understanding is different than the understanding of the ignorant karma adhikari. Tasmad ye anya adhikrutaha karmani anatmavidaha yesham cha mohatyagaha sambhavati kaya klesha bhayacha te eva tamasaha tyaginaha rajasacha iti nidyante karminam anatmadnyanam karma phalatyagastutyartham. And therefore, ye anya adhikrita karmani. So those who are qualified for doing the karma, who are those? Anatmavidaha. Those who are not the knower of the self. They have mistaken themselves to be the body, the jiva, the prana, the mind, etc. So ye anatmavidaha. Yesham cha tyagaha mohat sambhavati. But they can give up the karma only out of moha, delusion. And kaya klesha bhayacha, and also because of the difficulty in doing something, therefore they give up. So, te tamasa tyaginaha rajasacha. So they are tamasic and rajasic fellows. They are not the one wise one. Therefore, iti nindyante karminam anatmadnyanam. Therefore, by this the ignorant people are condemned for what? Karma phalatyaga. So that the importance and value of the karma phalatyaga is clearly brought out. There is no other purpose. That is why it is said, Sarvaramba parityagi mauni santushto yena kenachid aniketaha stiramatihi iti gunatita lakshanecha paramartha sannyasinaha visheshidatvad. So all these references we have seen. Sarvaramba parityagi santushto yena kenachid mauni aniketa stiramati. All these attributes or discussions of the 12th chapter, as well as gunatita lakshane. Also in the life of the Gunatita Purusha, Paramartha Sannyasinaha Visheshitatvat. These are naturally appearing in these wise people. Vakshati cha jnanasya nishtha paraiti. And in this chapter also it will be told what is the meaning of the ultimate knowledge, sannyasa. So tasmat jnana nishtha sannyasinaha na iha vivakshita. Therefore this karma phala tyaga or the tyaga or the sannyasa is not being addressed to the sannyasi or the jnani purushas, but for the ignorant qualified for the karma. Therefore, karma phalatyaga eva sattvikatvena gunena tamasattvadhyapekshaya sannyasa uchyate na mukhya karma sannyasaha. Now here another topic is taken for discussion that we will take in our next class. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.